It was never a rule. No one ever decided it. It was just something of an understanding. Spanish ships are to be avoided. Interesting line by Charles VAne in this week's episode, especially considering that it was the pursuit of the Urca de Lima and its bounty of gold within its hold that started this entire sequence of events that led to this moment right now, where the truth of that statement may soon weigh heavily on the denizens of Nassau. It's Black Sails, Season 3, Episode 5, 23. Alright, spoilers ahead, just so you've been warned. Alright, so we've sort of have three main storylines continuing throughout this week's episode, and we'll continue on with where we started, with VAne and Blackbeard. Now, Blackbeard seems to be goading VAne through this episode, really seeing if he is committed to leaving Nassau behind him and embracing the world that Blackbeard is laying out before him to be the lions of the sea, as he sort of puts. And I think this was really his reason for pursuing the Spanish ship. There was no reason for it. He's got the fleet there on their way. They don't really need to be causing any trouble. They're not even in need of supply. Perhaps as pirates, this is just what they do. But I think that particular decision really was just to push VAne a little bit. And there was a real great sequence, great fight between VAne and the Spanish, it wasn't the captain was laying dead, but the Spanish officer, shall we say, and really illustrates part of VAne's character. While VAne is certainly not someone to trifle with and will certainly kill, whenever it's necessary, there does seem to be an honor with VAne. It carried on from the beginning when he was leaving Nassau and his commitment to defend there, to coming in and even fighting this Spanish officer. After a nice back and forth, when he knocks him down, he could easily have put him out. I think this is more along the lines of respect for a worthy opponent. This gentleman fought well, and there is certain brotherhood that I think can be associated with this. And that sort of leads to a couple of lines that I think may play out further on, especially his story that, he was fighting for his family. If they just went down, then captain couldn't get work, and if you die in fighting for the crew, that some money might be left for your family, maybe enough for this man's wife to raise his son. And his line, how money makes sheep of us all, I think is about to sit itself and weigh a bit more within VAne. What is his motivations? Is it just for the money, or is he trying to establish something else? Is there something more important that he's really trying to adhere to? And as the officer dies, we find out what actually is in the Spanish hold is not so much of treasures, but information. Treasure of a different sort. Could be many things, but specifically they find papers that reveal intelligence on the new governor at Nassau, Woodes Rogers, as well as various other bits of information. Not a battle plan, but definitely information that could be used towards establishing a battle plan. And again, here's where Teach is kind of goading and messing with VAne, is, yes, this could be important if we wanted to go back to Nassau, but you don't want to do that, do you? And of course, VAne, no, he's trying to remain strong with his decision, but you can see that in his eye, that this information, everything that's going on, there's going to be a reason, I think, where he's going to want to turn back. Various contributions to that, but I think this is going to play a big part, is what is it that he wants to do, what is important to VAne, which may not be what Teach thinks is important to VAne, or should be. Meanwhile, back in Nassau, we've got a nice tete-a-tete maneuvering situation going on between Woodes, Eleanor, and Max. Now, Woodes and Eleanor are trying to establish a government. They've already got the Spanish gold out of the fort, but they need to establish a government that the people are not going to fight against. They've come up with the idea of a council. You got 6 people on Bermuda's side, 6 people from the island. They work together, and therefore the people of the island have a feeling that they can contribute in with the government. Problem is, in order to really accomplish that, they need Max's blessing, because Max has taken over Eleanor Guthrie's position on the island before she left. She is sort of the head of the island. She is the people that everybody talks to in order to solve problems. She is the top negotiator. She is probably the top tradesperson on Nassau right now. So they kind of need her approval, but they don't want her on the council. But Max isn't going to have any of that. And sort of a recurring theme through this episode as well, she's talking about having gone too far. She's put in too much work, she's changed too much. She is not willing to trade what she has for whatever else is coming up. Just because the English are stepping in, she doesn't want to give up her position to not have a voice, to be regulated to some side. So she's not ready for that. So she is willing to trade in her portion of the Urca gold to Woods in order for her to be allowed back in. She says to sort of wipe the slate clean. Now this is kind of tempting to Woods because this is a lot of money. This is what, as he puts, 5 years of tax revenue without the headache of trying to collect taxes. The problem they quickly find out is that the maid that has been attending to Eleanor, who's been really sneaky in the past few episodes, we find out why she's being so sneaky. She's a spy. She is a spy that's been employed by the Spanish intelligence service. Now they know, the Spanish intelligence has known that a portion of the gold has been converted to some other smaller carryable form. So they know whatever amount of actual gold is going to be returned to Spain, or returned to Havana more specifically, is not all that was on the Urca de Lima. It's not all of the treasure that was actually stolen. So if just the gold comes back, they're going to know that something was held behind. So the temptation that Woods has for this is instantly quashed. As he had said, he's not used to fate, being bountiful and giving things to him. He's used to having it taken away. And kind of a continuation of that theme, just as it's prevented forward, it is taken away from him. He can't risk upsetting Spain because Spain is still a major naval power. This is post-Spanish succession, so this has been sort of a peace between England and Spain, but still, Spain is extremely powerful. They're the ones that everybody fears. As VAne said again in the quote from the beginning, you don't attack the Spanish. He does not want to upset him. He doesn't want to deal with the battle, doesn't want to deal with the damage that's going to cause to Nassau. If he gets wiped out, definitely doesn't want that. Even if he manages to succeed, he's going to be dealing with a massive amount of damage and repair that he does not, is not part of what he is going for, and certainly isn't going to, England's not going to be very happy with him about that. So he's more than willing to hand the gold over. Unfortunately, that's not all the gold, because again, that's just Max's share. So where's the rest? That's with Jack and Anne, who are at this point about on the other side of the island, about, I don't know, half-mile walk, I think as Anne puts it, from getting on a boat and leaving. But just as Max had the problem with giving up all that she worked for, Rackham's now have second thoughts. Yes, the money will provide him everything that he needs, except for one thing. He has to change his name. Because Jack Rackham is a wanted pirate, and Bonnie is a wanted pirate. They can't have their names with the gold and go out. Down the road, that might be able to happen, but initially, no. You hear that name, you hear pirate, they could be killed in a heartbeat, and the gold would be useless to them because they'd be dead. So they'll have to change their names, unless they get a pardon. Then they're legally cleared. And pardons are being handed out to everybody back in Nassau. So Jack has the idea to turn around and go back. Anne doesn't want anything to do with it. As far as she's concerned, they have won. Doesn't care about their name. But Jack, who has had so much and just lost much of it, is unwilling to give up his name. So his pride is going to put him in a position because he's sending Anne on to go catch up with him. Meanwhile, he's about to go back to Nassau to try and pick up his pardon. But he doesn't realize that once he gets there, they're going to be looking for him. Why? Because they've got a good inkling that he's got the rest of the Spanish gold. And then we get to go back to the crew of the Walrus and Flint and Silver as prisoners. Now this, of course, bookends the entire episode, and it's a beautiful opening shot of again, one of Flint's spectral visitations by Miranda, having the discussions of, if you want to walk away, I will be as upset with you as you were upset with me for potentially taking away all that you had to pursue. Just a very beautiful scene, very well shot. And I do believe, I listened to it quite a few times, that is Silver's voice as, let's say, Death, whoever the spectral stranger is that is with Miranda, who is addressing much of the opening statements. And I really think Miranda's statement back is that when Flint says, when she tells Flint that you don't realize what's in front of you, what is that? That you are not alone. I think what she was referring to, and again, what this sets up with through the episode, is the establishment and evolution of Flint and Silver's partnership. That Silver is the new person to step into kind of Miranda's role, not as a lover, not in that. I mean, I don't really see that happening. But it's the same way as sort of an intellectual partner, as someone who Flint can count on, can discuss things, can feel that he doesn't have to lord over, that there is another equal that he can interact with and have that type of relationship with. And I think that's what is established through this, through Silver and Flint's little interactions. So this opens up really with Scott arriving on the island. And from the statements they have made, it really only one night has passed. So this is just the next morning. Since they have just come in the longboats, wherever this island is, it's like right around the corner from Nassau. It is not far at all, which might actually be another reason why they're really working to keep it quiet, because if it is that close, it could be taken over extremely quickly. And then Flint just sort of appears at Scott's side. And I was a little taken aback by that, because I'm like, you're a prisoner. How do you get the guards to just take you out? Do you just be like, I need to see the king? But most likely Scott had heard that there were some pirates on there, and knowing his connection, probably just asked for the captain, bring me the captain of the ship. And then when he saw Flint, that's where his surprise was, I thought you were dead. I was told that you were dead. And they basically come up with the plan that they established throughout the rest of this, is that they really need to bond the pirates and the escaped slave community together. With Scott probably dying now, that's going to cut off a means of supply that still this community needs. They can subsist on their own a lot, but they still need a lot coming from the outside. If Scott dies, they're going to lose that source of supplies. The pirates are there to really fill that role. They're immediately there. They, as Flint tells Silver later on, the island is a safe haven that needs supplies, whereas the pirates have ready access for supplies and need a safe haven. Perfect kind of connection for the two of them. But it's a big risk, because the Queen, Scott's wife, does not trust the pirates and is hyper protective of her community. As Flint later puts in the big speech, which we'll get to into a minute, is that he knows that she knows there's always choices. Yes, this seems the most logical, this seems the best opportunity, but if there's a risk, you don't need to take it. There are always choices, there are always other things that can be done. So Flint tries to come up with a backup plan. Okay, if she doesn't agree to this, then I will grab her, I'll hold a knife to her, and I will say, you have to let all my people go or I'll kill you. Okay, kind of a lot of ifs in with that plan. And Billy's kind of on board with that. He has seen Flint over the years. As he puts later on, this may be the most selfless act that we've ever seen from him. Flint killed Gates. Gates kind of turned on Flint because he thought that he had killed Bones. But the point is, Gates and Bones were extremely close. So Gates' death, everything else that has happened, the turnarounds, they were propping up, again, mentioned Silver, they were propping Flint up because Flint was the man that would keep them alive. If his death is going to keep them alive, Bones is all about that. Billy has no qualms with it. Silver, not quite so much. He's starting to grow an attachment with Flint, and he doesn't want to see him just sort of give up his life in a risky attempt, because the Queen may be willing to die and still kill all of the pirates. Will he have time to grab her? Could he get the knife? All of these ifs. Very tricky plan. And what he tells Flint, again, is, you convinced me to care about the crew. If you can do that, you can convince the people here of anything. And this sets up the beautiful scene and sequence where Flint addresses the queen of the island and throws his idea out. Look, if you were looking for just supply people, you're going to kill us because you can get supplies anywhere. But you need safety. Everything is falling apart. You need a partnership. And this is where he turns around, which is not what I was expecting. It's going back and getting Nassau. It's not turning this place into the new pirate safe haven. It's taking that community and moving it to Nassau. That if Flint can get on the island, let the people know that pledge to follow him, that he's not dead, get them to turn around and fight back. If he can get the ships back, if he can get the slaves over there and they can overthrow the government, and that would announce to all the other slaves in the West Indies is here's a safe haven where you can go and be protected. And that's really his offering, is it's not just us. If we do it, if we as a colony fight back against England and win, that will be a battle cry for everyone else around. Not only could it bolster themselves and bolster their population and their defense, it could start a chain reaction which could cause much of the empire for England to fall. Very broad, very ambitious idea, but that is sort of what happens. It takes a couple hundred more years, but as we start to see, that exactly is what happens. People in the colonies start to go, we're not having any of this, and fighting back. This is their beginning. And that succeeds. That gets them out and gets them ready for the next step, which is to gather the men, gather the ships, and to take back Nassau. And the first step to do that, Charles Vane, who again has the battle plans, or the potentials for battle plans, due to the collection of the Spanish ship. And while Teach threw them on the ground afterwards, I'm pretty sure that Vane grabbed them. And we'll find all this out next week. Oh, it's going to be good. We're going to have Flint versus Teach, and it's going to be... can't wait. Again, just very powerful episodes, very well done. Overall, this season is just... it has continued the quality that they established very early on, and just, I think, continuing even to raise the bar further. And I can't wait. I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you are enjoying my reviews here. Press like if you do. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Join us. I do this every week and several other shows. Comments in the section below. What do you like? What do you don't like? That's what I'm saying about the show. You let me know. I want to make this the best possible product for you guys, so give me some feedback. I will do my best to integrate that stuff in with what I do. Anyway, I'm D, and I'm done. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys next week. Take it easy. Bye-bye.